So in terms of like zine subject matter, since we're thinking about making political zines tonight, these are just some of the questions I think would be like a good to ask yourself in terms of thinking about what do I want my zine to be about tonight? Like especially if you're like struggling to come up with something as well. So I'd say like questions like what is a subject matter that you care about? And particularly today, like with smartphones and the internet stuff, it's very easy to just go into sort of doom scroll mode and to see all the horrible stuff that's happening in the news and to feel sort of paralyzed about, oh, like what can you possibly do about all of this terrible stuff that's happening in the world right now? And it's just sort of impossible to you know, try and help with everything. So a question I think I want everyone to ask themselves is like, what's a subject matter, like one subject matter that I care about and I want to try and like do something about just to sort of like narrow it down a bit. And the questions you can ask yourself is, what is an injustice right now that makes you angry? I think anger is an emotion that's often like, what's the word, characterized as a negative, but anger is just, another form of emotion and not necessarily, one that's solely negative either. And sometimes, especially in matters of injustice or again, the terrible things happening in the world right now, it is necessary to be angry. So something that you can also ask yourself is what's something that makes you angry and that makes you want to do something about it. On the other hand, sort of taking emotions out of the equation, you can also ask yourself, what is something that you want to spread more information about? So to sort of bring it back to like past political scenes, like with the AIDS crisis, again, mainstream media was not talking a lot about, the queer perspective on AIDS necessarily, and there was often a lot of demonization of queer people and AIDS victims, and so things like zines really help to spread more information to actually help the queer community and to also try to protect the queer community as well in terms of like safe sex and such as well, or like resources like where like people with HIV or AIDS could like try and get help too. So if so something you can consider is as well to help you like decide maybe something that you want to focus your scene on is what is something that you want to spread more information about, maybe something again that's not being talked about by the mainstream news very much, or at least not from a perspective that is very often seen, or do you want your scene to collect like resources to help the people that it needs most as well? So that's something you can consider. And I'd say another thing to consider is who are the people that you want to help as well. Like could be the queer community, people with mental health issues, or like disabled people. I think a good thing to consider is like community and the actual like human beings involved as well, because again with the sort of doom scrolling nature of like smartphones and the internet and news on the internet as well, it's very easy to like sort of get mired in the sort of helplessness of like all the terrible things happening, and then obviously you care but it's hard to see the sort of humanity as well, like oh these are human beings and actual people involved, not just like sort of faceless victims on the are being talked about on the news as well. So something good to potentially think about is like who are the people that you want to help or that you want to spread more information about or to talk about as well. So I think these are all really good questions to ask yourself in terms of like what do I want like my zine to be about. So I think the good thing to start off would be if everyone got some paper, pens or pencils and such, and just like do a little brainstorm right now on like political subject matters that you want to talk about, like or to that you want to make your scene about. They don't need to be pretty or anything. Just like you can just write it as a list or like a little brainstorm cloud as well, like whatever works best for you.